What's up guys, Tetos here with a video on why you shouldn't blindly copy League of Legends pro players. This includes of course their item builds, summoner spells, runes and masteries. So probably there are a lot of people out there who simply go to websites like probuilds.net or any build website or simply look up these pro players and they simply choose a game, they look at it, oh this guy played Graves, this guy played Jarvan, and they simply copy everything they do, and this is of course a very bad thing to do. The reason why should be obvious, but for those who don't know why, is because every decision you make before or in a game is in relation to the context, or yeah, basically everything you're doing has a context. And this means that the rune pages or the masteries you're choosing are dependent on the situation, on your team, on the enemy team, and many other factors. Of course, the people who are good at the game know a lot about the game and can make the best decision consistently. This is why pro players are so good, because they basically know what to do in almost any situation. So let's say you want to learn how to play Syndra. Of course, many people will simply look up a page like this. Oh, Faker, he's such a good, probably the best mid laner in the world, he's playing Syndra, I will simply copy everything he's doing and I will be just as good as him. And of course that's not true, because Faker is a god first off, and secondly, let's look at the runes here. He is running a very offensive rune page, he's running ability power quintus, he's running magic pen marks, health per level seals as far as I see, and ability power per level glyphs, and I think some CDR glyphs, yeah, or CDR per level glyphs. And of course this is a very offensive rune page which doesn't have any MR, no magic resistance here, no armor here, and only health per level. So in the early levels he is super squishy, he doesn't have a lot of health, basically he will get wrecked by skill shots, by ganks, by anything. And the reason why Faker can play with such a page is because he's just so good. And you probably aren't as good, so you probably shouldn't, yeah, take the same rune as him, or the same runes as him, because you probably will eat more skill shots than him. You probably can't, or you probably don't know when a trade is bad or inefficient, when you're engaging in a bad situation. You don't know this stuff. You don't probably know always where the enemy jungler is, so if you get ganked or not. So maybe you don't want these runes actually, but you want either flat health, for example, or armor runes, or maybe you want MR runes. And this should show you why it's not smart to always follow these pro players. It's not smart. This is what I'm trying to convince you in this video. And of course, maybe you've been wondering, oh, I'm taking so much damage, why is the enemy not taking as much damage? Well, maybe he's not running these runes, because if he is running a defensive rune page, or just, you know, the AP quints and the magic penetration marks, and he has armor and MR here, or just flat health and flat MR, then he is more durable than you, and he will probably win the early trades especially, and even in the late game he might have snowballed and, you know, has more gold then. So your late game runes don't do anything. Next up we have a Gnar build by Dyrus, of course very famous top laner from Team Solo Mid. He is playing Gnar in this game, and you know, you might be thinking, oh, this is his build path, let's just copy it. Anything that you can see here, I will simply copy. And this is of course a very poor approach, because even the start here, the Doran Shield start with the pot and the warding totem of course, is not always the best start, because sometimes you don't want to start with this item, you want to start with a Doran's Blade maybe. Or maybe you don't want the Doran Shield, you want the cloth armor and 5 pots for example. And this just shows that it's always depends on the situation, what you're buying, what you should buy, what's the best purchase is. And you can't just wait, or you can't just, you know, always go for a Renaissance Omen first. You can't just always go for the Merc Threads, of course. That's not the best boot choice in every situation. Neither is Home Guard enchantment for the boots always the best in any situation. So another example where you think you have to think for yourself and can't just copy the build basically. And another one, a Janna build by MacLeod, of course also super famous Korean pro player who is famous for Blitzcrank mainly and Thresh, but also his Janna should be good, right? Because he's stomping this game. He won this game in 20 minutes, so it was a stomp let's just copy him and we will have the same results, right? Well, not really, especially if you're thinking about choosing Ignite and Flash and this exact build. You might be having a very hard time in lane and in your games because it's not always good to pick up Ignite on Janna. Anybody who knows how to play support can tell you that it's sometimes essential to pick up Exhaust instead of Ignite. Actually, I would recommend Exhaust in over 50% of your games as support because it helps to, you know, shut down fat enemies, which are an issue in solo queue, which Ignite doesn't do. But of course with Ignite you can sometimes snowball heavily, so that's why some people just like it as support still, even though I don't recommend it. And also the build, same thing as always, the Boots of Mobility might not be your primary boot choice. Maybe you want the Boots of Lucidity, which give cooldown reduction. Maybe you don't want the Magi Soul Stealer because you just don't know how to play Janna and you're dying a lot, or you know the enemy team is fat, then it's just a waste of gold because you could be getting something else for the 1400 gold this item is worth, or it costs you basically. So I think I've made my point, you know, that you can't just copy these pages. If you were somebody who always thinks about their decisions anyway, this video might not be that useful to you, but to those who simply have been copying people in the past, I hope I got my message across. So that's basically it for this video. Thanks for watching and until next time, bye bye.